Hi, good morning and welcome to Wellness with Wandia. My name is Wandia and I'm a wellness practitioner. What that means is that I'm a counseling psychologist and a mountain guide. I look at health and wellness holistically. The human being is made up of different components. And as I told you in our last episode, I'm going to be focusing on the family. And I distinguished what a normal and abnormal, in quotes, family is. Today I want to be talking about something that happens in abnormal or dysfunctional families, and that is enmeshment. What this means is that there are no clear boundaries or lines between the different members of that home. This specifically talks about, or rather refers to, the bloodlines between siblings and their parents. For somebody who is a child brought up in this home, you find that because of how the mother or the father parented this child, and many times it's because of their past experiences, they bring in that trauma into this home and they try to control their children and control the environment the child is growing up in. And they imagine that this is something they're doing that protects the child. However, this is actually not what ends up happening. What ends up happening is that the child does not develop autonomy. The child is prevented from becoming independent. And let me speak to the parents. Let me put a pause there and speak to the parents. You know, many times you want to protect your child from experiencing pain and hurt in life. Either the child is going to fall down, you can see the child going somewhere and is going to fall down. You can see the child making a decision that you imagine or believe to be wrong. So what you tend to do is to make the decisions for them to prevent them from making what you perceive to be a wrong decision, or you hold the child and prevent them from exploring the environment, and therefore then this child grows up being afraid of the environment and of making relationships. So I come back. A child who grows up in a home like this will always refer and defer to the parents and their siblings when they want to do anything in life. They are unable to become fully functional, confident individuals in society. Enmeshment becomes so, I want to say, dangerous and mentally draining, because this child who has been prevented from becoming autonomous, from becoming independent, will still grow up. The chronological age is still going. Don't forget, the person is still growing. So what you'll find is that this person will show up in life as an adult, will get married, but these are the people who you will find that for whatever decision they want to make in their home, they have to call and talk to mom, they have to call and talk to a sibling, they have to call and get clearance in order to make a specific decision. Now, one of the things that people tend to ask is, how can I spot what we like calling red flags of these people? The reality is that if you are able to enter a therapeutic relationship with a therapist, or you do premarital counseling, then some of these things can become evident. However, by and large, many people don't do this. And what will happen is that you'll miss red flags. Let me give you a clear one. You know, when you are thinking about the person that you'd like to get married to, you'd say that you want somebody who is close to their family, has conversations and respects their family, their mother and their sisters. And if you are not clear about what enmeshment looks like, this particular individual will be one which will draw a number of people into them. Because you'll be like, yeah, but they've got good family relationships. They speak to their mom every so often. They normally hang out with their siblings. They're like best friends. Therein, my friend, sometimes could lie the red flag. Because what is meant to happen as you grow up is that you are meant to move away from your family of origin and establish your own community. It doesn't mean that you do not interact with your family, but you are meant to step out and become your fully formed person. independent enough to make your own decision, independent enough to make your own choices. This particular person, if not cognizant or aware of this dysfunction in their family, will perpetuate these same traits with their children. And therefore, then you'll find generations upon generations of wounded people because of this dysfunction of enmeshment. The thing that I still want to underline and underscore is that enmeshment happens when individuals, one, have not processed the traumas that they have gone through in their upbringing. Allow me to wear my psychologist hat a little bit and tell you that what we have come to discover is that adverse childhood experiences, and these are experiences that happen between 0 to possibly around the age of 12, 13, those experiences that happen in those formative years are the ones which traumatize and end up re-traumatizing us as we go through life. I'll give an example which is common to the Kenyan context and to also the African context. What you tend to find, and especially of people of my generation, I imagine it doesn't happen as frequently now, but people in my generation, you'd find that you did not grow up only with your nuclear family. Either your mother's siblings or your father's siblings were brought into the home so that your parents could educate them, which means that it was a blended family. The danger in this is that the uncles and aunties who are being brought into this home are significantly older than the children of that home. Therefore, then, this poses a threat to the children of that home in one way or the other. And through the years of therapy that I've been practicing, I have found by and large that a huge number of people who have been abused, sexually molested, has happened within this dynamic. The parents trying to do something really good by bringing in their elder siblings into the home, but then unfortunately some of them prey on the children in that home. And because this is something which is unexpected and there are no warning signs around it, the children who have been molested by their relatives find it very difficult to talk about. And they keep it in and they don't share it and they grow up. This is an example of an extreme adverse childhood experience. And this particular experience keeps on giving or showing up in the child's life in very many ways. These are individuals who can grow up and be extremely highly sexualized or hypersexual because they're introduced to this at a very young age, or they could be the ones who do not know how to form good relationships with the opposite sex simply because of their early adverse childhood experiences. So I've spoken about two key things in the past couple of minutes. One is enmeshment and one is adverse childhood experiences. And the reason I'm bringing up these terms is not to point fingers. It's to allow you to start getting an understanding of why you possibly do the things that you do, or why the people around you behave the way they do, or why your family shows up the way it does. Trauma that is not dealt with will keep showing up from generation to generation and will keep being perpetuated until it is dealt with. My goal of having this conversation is to give you the energy and the confidence to say this stops with my generation. That I will be willing and I'm able to stand up, look for the help, and deal with whatever it is that needs to be dealt with. Let me add another rider here. Because as a child who has grown up in this home, you did not have any choice. You did not have any other place to go apart from being in that home. It's important for you to push the blame that you've been carrying or the shame that you've been carrying on yourself. This happens a lot, especially in cases of children who have been sexually molested. They carry the shame like they could have done something different. They carry the shame that it is their fault that these things happened. But the reason I'm stating and restating this is because I want to encourage you that this is not your fault. And there is help out there. I love what I do. I am very passionate about being a mental health and wellness practitioner. And for anybody who resonates with this message, I'd encourage you. You could either reach out to me on the numbers below, or you could do your research and find somebody who you could work with on this journey of healing. Remember again, because I'm a wellness practitioner, I'd also encourage you to look for healing in nature. You could also join us for a hike as the mountain slayers, because this is one of the reasons why I hike. Nature on its own is very therapeutic. Being out in nature has a way of healing even the most wounded and most broken souls. And in previous episodes of Wellness with Wandia, I have shared stories where I've said that at some point when my heart was very heavily burdened, I would go out into nature and I would just cry. My clients, my fellow hikers used to know, when Wandia comes on this hike, she's going to cry. But because of that healing that I was able to get out in nature, I'm able to stand here before you today. Well, not stand, because you can actually see that I'm sitting. I'm able to sit here before you today and encourage you that it's possible. It's possible to get over many of these traumas, all of these traumas that we've gone through. With the dedication, with the commitment, it's possible. So I'd like you to share this episode, subscribe, like it, follow us, and get in touch with us if you'd like to get more information. Thank you for watching.